Hey, good day, everybody. Welcome to episode 3 of Stream of Card Consciousness. I am Mark Ford, joined by my brother Greg Smith. How you doing today, Greg?
I'm doing great, Mark. How you doing today, man?
Oh, I'm doing good. It's MLK Day, so that means I have a day off of school, and I'm spending it here with my dogs in the background. Hopefully, they stay quiet.
Well, if they don't, I mean, we can make it work with them or without them.
Well, that's why it's a stream of card consciousness.
That's right.
So we had some thoughts before the show. We were talking about MLK Day and its significance, not only culturally and within society and the importance of it in America, but as far as the card collecting. And for me personally, I have a hard time fathoming that there was a time when people weren't allowed to play baseball because of the color of their skin. That's pretty awful. But we're going to share a few of our favorite cards from pioneers of the game as far as for the African Americans and talk a little bit about them. So if you want to go ahead, Greg, with yours, go ahead.
Sure, absolutely. I don't have really any Jackie Robinson cards to speak of other than some Project 2020 cards. I should have gotten those out and I didn't, but I do have some. I've got a nice 1957 Willie Mays. It's a SGC2. He wasn't right at the forefront of all of it, but he was probably the biggest black star, I'd say, really probably ever in the sport. So I got that one. I've got one of the first Latino players ever to play, Roberto Clemente. That's one of my favorites. I love this card. You see what the one touch does for it because it's probably
No
a
one
PSA
touch,
one,
one
but the
touch
one
magic.
touch really does it some justice. Um, I've got some of the other guys, not really back in those days, but I mean, I got a nice Ricky Henderson. I just got 6'5". I mean, it is what it is, and I love that card. I just think the cards look so much better in the SGC slabs, personally myself. But as far as getting back to the pioneers, you've really got me more into that and really wanting to explore. And I've got a couple of them coming. I've yet to get my first Jackie. That's on the bucket list for me, card wise. I think everyone who really collects and really enjoys collecting should have at least one or two of those. And it's a shame there aren't more available, unfortunately, as far as he wasn't around long enough. And like you said a minute ago, I think it's a real shame that they weren't allowed to play longer and allowed to integrate sooner, because I think the major leagues would have been better for it. And, I always take a look back on this day and kind of appreciate what the trials and tribulations that a lot of those ball players and a lot of people just in general in society went through. And happy Martin Luther King Day to everybody watching.
Absolutely. For me, I mean, it also affects for me collecting wise, and I'll be very honest. I'm painfully honest. I have a hard time ever wanting to buy a card that like the pre-war and the Gaudis and the this and the that because they're all white. There's no diversity. So every set prior to, like it was a 49 leaf Jackie Robinson and then in the early 50s. So, I mean, to me, it's just, I just can't wrap my arms around wanting to collect that because there was a lack of diversity. But I got on my KC Monarchs hat today. It was courtesy of Bob Kendrick. I met Bob Kendrick over the winter in my previous incarnation when I was a tournament director at a golf course. Just a fabulous man. He's the director of the Negro Leagues Museum in Kansas City, and we had a great day together. And he sent me a couple hats, and we maintain a little bit of conversation here and there. But he's a great guy. If you ever get a chance to get up to that museum in KC, I recommend it.
I've
I got
actually
his.
heard an interview with him. He is something else. You're right. Go ahead, Mark.
No, but his podcast is amazing. It's Black Diamonds. So I urge everybody to try to find that. Black Diamonds. It's a fabulous podcast. Bob's a great guy. But I mean, I was thinking Project 2020. I got the Jackie Project 2020. I have another one that's in my classroom at school, and another one is my 53 Bowman color Luke Easter. I love that card. And Luke Easter, had to wait until he was like 32, 33 years old to be able to play in the major leagues. Only had 3 or 4 seasons, but he hit 100 home runs, and he continued to play into his mid 40s in the minor leagues. So he's a favorite of mine. And then from a modern perspective, Tristan McKenzie. I heard him on Bob's show, and I sent him a Connie Johnson card and a letter that, I heard you on Bob's show, and he signed this card for me and thanked me for the Connie Johnson card. So pretty rare to be able to get a modern day player of that caliber and stature to return an autograph request. But, I gave him the Connie Johnson card, and he said, "Hey, thanks for the Connie," and signed that for me. So I really
That's
dig
cool.
Tristan.
That's very cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So then, as people know, we're buyers and sellers on some various Facebook forums. I personally, I like the vintage fire sales 94 and down. That's kind of my jam. I hang out in there. How about yourself, Greg, as far as buying and selling sites?
Well, I'm in that one, in that group quite a bit more than anybody else. It's got about 28,000 members, vintage fire sales. And you're right, up till 1993. I think the cutoff is Jeter and Shaq.
93, yeah, 93.
Yeah, 93. And it's Jeter and Shaq, so they could get those in. I'm also in a vintage baseball card site, which has about 50,000 members. It's a little bit more wild, wild west. It's a good site. Strictly baseball, strictly 1980 and older. And then also just some off sites. We've got a dollar card auction site we've started. About 200 members, so it's in its infancy. But I do a lot of buying like you do, and I do a lot of selling like you do as well. I noticed you had a sale this morning, so
yeah, right before we came on, sure.
Yeah, and you we've been talking quite a bit this last week about different experiences with different people, and we're gonna name some names in a positive light today, and not really gonna dip into anything negative, but we talked about that quite a bit, just talking about different people and different, relationships we've met or we've made, and just being able to enjoy the groups. But like you, I think my main group is the vintage fire sales, 1860 to 1993. So that's my jam as well. But yeah, and you had talked about wanting to list some of your favorite buyers and sellers, so I'll let you lead that off.
All right. Well, we'll do our buyers first, because without the buyers, we couldn't do what we do. And for me, like Greg says, I'm kind of the quarter 50-cent king. Sale this morning, and I don't think there was a card more than $4 or $5. But as far as buyers, and this gets back to, I'm more about the relationship. I do it for fun, and I make a couple bucks, but nothing extravagant. It all goes back to other sellers and getting Hank errands and things like that. So, but as far as buyers, Eric Cohen. He gets 3-4 cards every sale, envelope ship, spends a couple bucks, but I mean, to me, that's the essence of collecting. He's there, he picks 3-4 cards, and he's there every sale. And I just sent him a big package of some extra cards I had, just kind of as a thank you, because guys like that are awesome. And then another one is Matt Mosier. Kind of become friendly with Matt. He's a big Ryan Sandberg guy, and I think he grabbed some this morning. I've been busy trying to get the show up and ready, so I haven't really checked on who did what this morning. But I mean, Matt's awesome, and formed a personal relationship with him as well, beyond cards, and he's a really good guy. And then Chris Frank, he's another one that just gets a few every sale. And he's a big Bills fan in Baltimore, so we got that connection with Buffalo. And I'll stick in a Buffalo Bills card or something if I can. So it's we get back to that sales site. I mean, it's the relationships that we make. I mean, obviously, I'm gonna make Chad Newland, Tyler Reed Davis, James Crawford, who we had on the show, and we go on and on and on. I mean, I appreciate everybody, because for me, it's more about the connection and the relationship than making money. So, how about you, Greg? What do you think?
Well, on the buyer's side, I really, I've got several. A couple of them are along the lines. James is always a good guy, and I always look for different Dale Murphy cards for him, because I know he'll want them, and I try not to charge him too much, because I know he just has a thing, and he'll you charge him $50 for a 1979 Dale Murphy, he might just pay it. So, but I would. he's got a thing for Dale, and I always just kind of I'm always on the lookout for things I think that he might not have with Dale. He's a great buyer. A newer guy that I've been talking to quite a bit. His name's Marty Klotz, and he is he and I have had several conversations outside of the sales. He sent me some 1973s I needed at a really good price, and he's bought several from me. I enjoy him quite a bit. Josh Wickersham, he doesn't buy as much as he used to, but I talk to him almost on a daily basis through the chats, and we give each other advice on stuff to buy and
My crazy dog.
Yeah, tough stuff to buy and stuff like that. So Josh is a good dude. One I think that almost everybody in the group universally loves is Donna. Donna DeBiase, DeBiase. I'm not sure how to say that. Sorry, Donna. Right. She is wonderful, and she's a Chicago lady, and she's got impeccable taste in cards, and she's always been a real good customer, and just always after sets, and I enjoy talking to her as well. So those are my big four, really, as far on the buy side. I mean, there's so many, and there's always a lot of people cycling through, and you see them, and you want to talk to them, and like you said, it's not all about the money. Most of what I make goes back into cards as well, trying to complete sets and trying to get some nicer cards into my own personal collection. So those are my four that just came right to the top of my head. Obviously, there's people that kind of transcend that too. I mean, you buy stuff for me, but it's beyond that really at this point with you, and vice versa. I mean, I've claimed a couple things in your sale today, so that's it's I don't really consider you necessarily needing to be in that conversation. So
right on.
Now, what do you got as far as sellers?
Well, the sentiment shared, but with you, you're one of my favorite sellers, and people, I pay Greg for cards, so he pays me for cards, so we're not just giving everything away to each other. But when I started with cards, it was really because I was having some struggles personally, things going on, and Greg was one of the first people that I bought cards from, and then we just hit it off for some reason, and then we became great friends, and we're like brothers, and but great cards, you get it, you understand it's cardboard, it's and also that personability. Me and you, we were both in the cell with Derek Sweezy over the weekend, and so we were like, James Crawford with the Dale Murphy. We were like, come on, Derek, get posting, get these cards up, get these cards up. I mean, we were like a couple of addicts. Holy cow, what a great style. I don't really know him personally. I think it was the first style of his that I participated in, but it was great, good prices, good variety. My favorite addiction is Eric Bell. He has 10-cent sales, and I can't help myself. I mean, I probably bought 500 Buffalo Bills cards from him over the last few months, but I'm just like, going crazy, and he's got 10-cent sales, and they're good cards too. I mean, they're not crappy. They're all on point. They're relevant, and it's really, really great.
I can't get into one of his sales because every time I do, everything that I would even buy has been claimed by 4 people. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, you got to press the button. There's like what we call it, the whales. There's some whales in there. They're just gobbling everything up, and they're ruling the ocean. So you got to get on it right away. And
I think it's funny when you see a good sale, you call it feeding. You're like, I'm in there feeding. Come join me.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going in. I'm hitting the ocean. Come on, or I'll say I'm taking a swim.
That's great, man.
Taking a swim. But back to that Ricky Henderson, I just had a thought when you were talking, and being MLK Day. A number of players from the Negro Leagues era, and that were at the forefront of breaking the color barrier, have mentioned Ricky highly as far as having that flamboyance, that style that was evident in the Negro Leagues, a showmanship. So I think that, circling back around to that Ricky Henderson, I think that really really showcases how it was back in the day, so to speak. And also, he played well, like almost 50. He played in like independent leagues. He just want to play ball, man.
Oh
And
yeah.
that's the way those guys were. They just want to play ball, and
Right.
they just play. They play wherever. It wasn't about the money. Yeah, Ricky made a lot of money, and I'm sure his contract is very important to him. But I think that in another time, Ricky probably would have played for free back in the 20s and the 30s just to get out there and play and be who he is.
I think you're probably right. I know he bounced around quite a bit towards the end. He even played with the Red Sox, I think, right at the very end. And I think he played in the Frontier League maybe for a year or two. But yeah, he exuded enthusiasm. A lot of people, it kind of did rub people the wrong way sometimes, just because he was very flamboyant and cocky. But you're right. I think he might have played for free. I think a lot of those guys might have played for free back in the day if they would have been allowed. And it's really a shame that they weren't.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
and you really, I consider myself a historian of baseball. As this show has gone on, we've kind of gravitated almost exclusively to baseball because that's where my heart's at. I mean, I love football, but baseball, I consider myself to be a student of baseball and have read a lot of accounts of different things with baseball. And I think part of my thought process is how different the numbers would look and how different the record books would look. And would the Yankees have been as good as they were in the 20s? There's a lot of different what ifs with that. And could it have been different? It should have been different. So
Absolutely right. Satchel
yeah,
Paige. So there's
yeah, that's
something
nice.
insert reprint. I'm not sure, what tops insert, but that's Satchel Paige.
That is very
And
cool. 77
yeah,
Satchel Paige. It's something you want to always see.
yeah, dig it. And
Got this one too. This Ricky is a knock. Well, not a knockoff, but a Project 2020. Ricky, the Man of Steel. So but yeah, I like I said, I don't have as many of the older guys as you do, which I'm going to start working on. But I do wish they'd have been allowed to play because it would have been a much better game, I think.
And the Project 2020s, I think there might even be a few Project 70s. That's a great way to be able to get, the Jackie. I mean, it's cool and it's unique and it's an artist's vision of what they feel about the player. And it's a way to get connected, $20, $15, maybe a little more, $30, and then have a Jackie card or a Clemente card or somebody that played back that you can't afford. Like I was lucky enough to have a 53 Satchel Paige in my hand one time, and just to be able to hold it was cool. But I certainly can't afford one, so
Right.
get a Project 2020 Satchel Paige or a cool Papa Bell or somebody that played.
Judy Johnson's.
Judy
there's a lot of really good players
Josh
back
Gibson.
in the leagues.
And there's a lot of artistry out there too. You can seek out besides cards. It's
yes.
There's some really good stuff out there. So
and it's funny you talk about these older cards, and I think a lot of people, I think a lot of people do make the connection, but I also think there's as many people that don't and just see a 53 Satchel Paige as a commodity almost. And
exactly.
I do wish that was different sometimes. I'll see it and as I further myself along in collecting and coming up on 2.5 years back in to collecting, those are cards I want to get, but I'm not looking to try to get one and flip it. I'm looking to try to get one and put it in my one touch or maybe send it off to get graded or something like that. But which I've never actually sent a card off to get graded, which kind of blows my mind.
Me neither. We were just talking about that, right? Yeah.
We were talking about that, and I'm itching, but just getting those cards and it's a little piece of Americana. It's a little piece of history. And I think a lot of people do realize that and connect with it. And I'm hoping just more and more people as time goes on see those cards for what they are. So
yeah, it's a great point. For me personally, what's a card worth? It's what it's worth to you, what you pay for it. And I'm not looking at resale. And oftentimes I'll just pick up cards and sell them at a slight loss or even money just to kind of drive some traffic to my dopey quarter and 50-cent sales. And, that's not always all about the money. and it's what it's worth to you. Some of my most treasured cards are, like $1 or $2, or they're beat the heck. And the one touch, that's what we say. We get a card that's a little creased up or a little wrinkly, drop that thing in a one touch, and from 5 feet out, that thing shines. And it's what it's worth to you. And obviously, that doesn't work for everybody, because there's an investment angle, and they want to
Yes.
make money,
Which,
and then that's fine.
yeah, and yeah, there's certainly nothing wrong with that either. I mean, I can't say I don't look at it from both sides when I'm sizing up a particular card. It's funny you say that about the one touch. I bought and I want to get to my list of sellers here in a second, but I bought a $5 Roberto Clemente card the other day in a sale. And I texted you and said, look what I got for $5. And you told me to put some pledge on it.
It worked.
And I said, really? So yeah, apparently a good way to doctor up creases, a good way to make them less visible is to put pledge on them, and that's according to Mark Ford. So
Yeah, so try it out. Just a little itty bitty dab on a soft cloth. Don't soak it. But
yeah,
if you have a card that is a little suspect and it's for your PC, just give it a little rub down with some pledge, and that thing will shine and pop, and the corners, the creases aren't so evident. You put it in a one touch, and there you go. I mean, it's not going to make it a PSA 510, but it's presentable, and you can get. And I say a lot of the Hank Aaron's and things that I have are, they're on the lower end of the spectrum, but they look great. They shine. I walk by them. I say, hey, Hank, and I'm happy. So,
yeah,
but
yeah.
some of
That
them
blew
do
my
have
mind
some
when you told me
pledge.
that, because I
Yeah.
would have never thought,
Mm.
the money part of my head said, okay, what happens if it soaks it and then it's warped and it smells like lemons? But that was some good advice. And as soon as I get it, I'm going to do that. And that kind of leads me into my list of sellers, because one of my favorite sellers is the guy that I bought that from. His name's Richard Kavorka, and he's one of the first people I really started talking to um, when I got back into this and found the group. And I went a couple weeks and kept getting pop-up notices. I guess my phone was hearing me talk about cards, because I started getting card recommendations, and he was one of the first guys. And he has always had good stuff. We bounce stuff off each other quite a bit. There's 4 or 5 guys that I really talk to quite a bit in this group, and he's one of them. And he always has really good sales. Mark, you're one of them too. I mean, I go through and I don't buy a ton, because honestly, I've got most of what you
Yeah,
offer
understood.
most of
Right.
the time. Um, Dave Tomello is another one. He does really good sales. I believe he's down in Tampa. He does some really good sales, some fair prices and packages, like a champ, just like you. Interaction with the customers is always really good. He's very interactive with us. I bought a 1964 Sam McDowell from him, for like $9. It was
Is
a
that
PSA.
PSA fine? Yeah, we were both
Yeah,
looking at
PSA
that.
6.
Yeah, right on.
So Sam McDowell, I said, sign me up. I'm good. Let's go. So he's one of my favorites. Mark Danner, we talk about his sales quite a bit, because you just never really know what you're going to get with Mark.
Yeah,
Um,
Danner's crazy.
from boxing cards to Marilyn Monroe cards, you name it, and you might see it in one of his sales. And it's usually, forgive me, Mark, but they're usually pretty beat up, but it's fun, and it's good to never know what you're going to see. A lot of this can be predictable sometimes. So, if I can find somebody that sells them at a reasonable price that has some variety, that's what I'm really looking for. So, and then the last one I really want to mention is a guy that's really not around a whole lot anymore, and I'm not sure why, but his name's Don Perry. He used to have some really, really good sales. So Don, if you're out there and you see this, get us some cards, man, because I love your cards and I like talking to you as well. So, yeah, that's my list of sellers.
Right on.
I'm sure there's probably 10 or 15 on both sides that I'm
Right.
missing. But those are the ones that pop to mind with me.
Sure.
And I'm glad that I'm on your list. I try to be fair with my prices. I try to get, the stuff I do sell, I try to make sure that I'm buying in a way that I can pass the savings on, I guess, for lack of a better word. So,
Sure.
it's fun for me. It's it's just fun, and I enjoy it, and I know you do too. We talk about it
Sure.
quite a bit, so that's my
Yeah.
list.
My sale this
Um,
morning, right? It's just because I want to have a good time, just like, well, I had an hour to kill. I'm like, yeah, let me toss some cards out there.
right.
And agreed on Danner. I mean, if you want some Victorian era politician cards or obscure 1920 soccer players, Mark Danner's your guy. We have a lot of fun in his sale.
Yeah, he really it really just out of nowhere. You're like, where did you get that? I
Exactly.
wonder that sometimes. Where does he get this stuff?
Yeah, it's out
And
there.
I he's a little hit or miss on the messaging, which is fine, but I feel
Yeah,
like asking him sometimes, like, where do you get all this stuff? And not trying to pick his brain or steal his secrets, but it's unique and it's fun and just the whole group and the whole buying and selling groups. We talked about talking about this a little bit more this time, you and I did, and I think just the whole dynamic in these groups, I've yet to have really a bad experience, knock on wood. You get the people who don't pay sometimes, and you get the people who are slow, and I've got a couple people that I know when I sell them something, they're not going to pay me for 4 or 5 days. I just kind of know that. So I know that going in, and it's a lot of fun, like you said, and doing this show with you has been a lot of fun, and it's
absolutely.
just I've been looking forward to doing this for several days. So hopefully we
Absolutely.
didn't offend anybody or ruffle any feathers by calling them out on the
No, it was
selling and
all
buying side.
positive, and
Yeah,
honestly, I forgot a bunch of people, and I'm sure down the road, if we'll pop some more people out there, and I'm like you, Greg. I've yet to have a totally negative experience, and yeah, some people that they don't pay or whatever, and I'm a little lower end, and I'm not. Most people maybe they get $8, $10 for stuff for me, and as long as you communicate, hey, this happened, that happened, it's all good. It's just cardboard, man.
yeah,
And I just let it go, and I'm not looking to make $1 million, and things happen. Like I say, stuff happens. Trying to not be profane, I'd probably say something else, but things happen. That's life. And you got to respect that people. And I've never had a bad buying experience, and I've never had a really traumatic selling experience.
me neither.
So no, it's good.
Yeah,
So
ring an
mm,
endorsement for the group and the
mhm.
admin team that runs it. Um, Top notch. I talk with quite a few of them, and it's been a really good experience. I know that I'm pretty sure that you feel the same way. I mean, you've expressed that, but I just hope that the hobby continues to be strong. And my collecting experience has been great. I was looking through cards this morning, preparing for the show, and I just I've got so much now that I forget some of the stuff that I have. I'm sure you probably do too.
Oh,
You run across
definitely.
things, and I'll be like, wow, I forgot I had that, or something like that. And I got to find a better way to display my stuff, I guess, is what that boils down to. So, you know,
Yeah, I backed my display down. No, I just have a couple little shelves in the living room, so
do you?
I don't want to overwhelm Mrs. Ford with all of my, middle-aged, midlife crisis trinkets hanging out all over the house.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
just,
absolutely.
right. It's just like, all right, here's my little, and props to her. She says, hey, you could actually probably put one more shelf up if you wanted, but I don't want to press it. It's all good. So the way it is. And then I'll just rotate, I'll rotate a few things in and out. Okay, I'm tired of looking at that one, so we'll put somebody else in there
Right, right.
right now.
So you sent me a picture of them at the game yesterday. Did they enjoy themselves? Were they having a
Oh,
good
they
time?
had a great time. I'll be going up next week to the Bills game against the Bengals, and it was my youngest daughter's first time going to a playoff game of Buffalo, so it was amazing. And people, we can always respectfully disagree. Greg is a passionate Dolphin fan. I am a tremendous Buffalo Bill fan. Started going when I was 5 years old. Didn't miss a game for 35 years. Still have season tickets in Florida. And we talked during the game, and the game wasn't going good in the beginning. And I'm like, Greg, man, stay the course. As the Bills are sloppy, you guys are gonna get right back in it. Sure enough, right back in it. And then so is the ebb and the flow, and that's the beauty of relationships. And it starts through buying, selling cards. Here we are on these groups, and now me and Greg are brothers, and we're doing this show, and we can get together and be passionate about our teams, but we can have a good time doing it. And that also kind of gets back to like MLK. Hey man, we're all people. We can all get along. This color of our skin, it don't matter. We're all
Right.
people. It does not matter. We're all brothers and sisters, and we should try to get along. But we had a good time watching the game because it was a roller coaster. But they had a good time, and I'll be up there next week. And hopefully, if this crazy neutral site AFC game comes up, I'll be in Atlanta.
Yeah, I was yesterday was such an emotional roller coaster for me as well with that game, and not to blather on too much about it, but I think I told you before the game I figured it was going to be about 41-3 because we're just outmanned. We're just outmanned, and we took the lead in the third quarter, and I didn't want to say much because I've been known to be a jinx
Yeah,
kind
you were
of in my
quiet.
life.
You went
Yeah.
silent.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I was wondering if you noticed that because I didn't really say much.
I
But
respected it. I didn't press it. I let the silence linger. I figured, all right, he's in the space. I'm not gonna. I'm not
yeah, I
gonna.
watched.
All I sent was that one message that said, "I told you so."
Yeah, yeah. But I'm not going to go as far as say I hope the Bills do well. But no, I'm just
All right,
kidding.
you hate him.
Uh,
I know it's okay. That's
yeah, it's
fine.
tough road to hoe for everybody, and I'm hoping we'll be back next year. And you made some really good points about Martin Luther King Day and just everybody trying to get along in this world we live in right now. It's last decade or so seems to have been pretty rough, and I'm hoping we can start getting back on the right course, human relations wise and race relations wise, and I'm hoping that you know something that positive things can come out of everything that we talked about, and hopefully you know everything works out okay. So I this has been good, man. This has
All
been
right.
good.
I think we're
Talking to
winding
you and
down. Yeah, absolutely. We don't want to bore the world, and but yeah, we'll wrap it up here. We thank everybody. The support's been amazing.
yeah,
The comments and the people sending us message. We've got a lot of views. We're on YouTube, so we'll get this up tonight, hopefully. If not tonight, then tomorrow. I'd like to get it up for Martin Luther King Day. But we're on Instagram, Stream of Card Consciousness. Hey, we got like 50 followers. We're a big deal, right? But
yeah,
yeah, find us on Instagram. We'll be posting some of our favorite cards. And if you got any of your favorite cards that you want to get posted on the page, again, this is for everybody. This is just about me and Greg. Send us a message through our messenger or through the messenger on the Instagram with some pictures, and we'd be more than happy to put any of your favorite cards up and
absolutely,
shine a light on what you like to collect. And
absolutely.
all right, brother. So it's been a great show. Everybody love everybody. Happy Martin Luther King Day. Let's all try to be better. And we'll see you next time.
See you guys later. Bye, everybody.
Peace.